Okay, so you were saying that Matt Plaskoff.
Yes, indeed.
That we're running a little behind schedule, but that's okay because every time you've done this with Extreme Makeover, it always works out on time.
Well, usually what happens with the schedule is that you run a little bit behind, you run a little bit ahead. It's the same thing as building a typical home, but it's accelerated. So if I were to build a home for somebody, there are times when I'm going to be behind, there are times when I'm going to be ahead, but I mean, they're doing fine. They're doing great. It's going to be fine.
So when you were here this morning,
yes.
You kind of got into a little bit crisis mode, and you had to basically pep talk these guys into where they are right now.
Well, I just get tangled up in it because it's so exciting. So I don't know that I was in crisis mode, but I definitely, walked in and they'd been working all night, and that's the time when you walk in the morning and they've been working all night and they've got 36 hours under their belt. I mean, these guys are exhausted. So, you partially have to come in and say, hey guys, listen, it's a new day, let's get going, and get them rallied up. And I've done this 4 times with my own company and 20 times when I was with the show, so I've seen where they're at now, and I've been where they're at, and I think that they need to hear that it's going to be great.
How did you get involved with this in the first place?
Well, I actually did, I think, the second show. Back when they first started the first season, they were looking for contractors to do Extreme Makeover, and they came to me, and this is before the show had taken off and had the notoriety that it had, and they said, hey, would you like to come build a house in a week for us? And I said, are you insane? And they said, no, really, we have this great idea. They showed me the pilot, and they said, this other guy did it, and it was great. And I said, I don't think so, because it takes me 6 months to do one of these projects in the real world. And so I talked to my team, and they said, yeah, let's try it. It's a challenge. So we built one, and we finished, and everything was great, and it was a very great experience. And so they asked me, then they had a contractor lined up for another show, and the contractor backed out, and they called me and said, hey, listen, we're doing another one in 2 weeks. Can you come and help us do it? And I said, I don't know. This is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And they said, come on, please. And so I went and I did that show. And then I hooked up with the show as a consultant and helped them travel around the country and hire contractors and do kind of what I did here, which is I showed up just to see all my old pals and say hi and see how it was going. And, I jumped into it, and it's contagious. And so I enjoy it.
So how, as you're consulting the show on how to understand the complexities of remodeling and stay on time and on budget and all that, what kind of information are you giving them that everyday people aren't getting?
Well, I think that there are planning elements. There are, in terms of scheduling and understanding that 5 minutes on a schedule is really a half a day in this world out here. And the pitfalls that can happen if you don't plan properly or you don't organize. Also the resources, knowing the level of resources you need. Somebody in the normal world would look at this and say, well, I just need 5 electricians to wire this house. It's no big deal. But with the time constraints, you may need a truck in the background. You may need. Can you keep that truck down?
Turn that volume down a little bit.
You may need 20 electricians to get the thing done in lightning speed. So I think helping them understand what resources they need, helping them understand the schedule, helping them understand having a plan B is really critical, because look, these guys get exhausted. Everybody's exhausted. Somebody could just say, I'm done, I can't do this anymore, and then all of a sudden you have to fill that hole in. So that's what I help them understand, and I've been involved in so many of these and I didn't come here today, just so you know, as a consultant. I came here just, but if I can help, if I can walk in and say, oh, I see something, I've done this before, this is what you should be looking for, this is what you should do next, and I can help them, they're grateful because they have somebody with experience coming in saying, why do I need to reinvent the wheel? So that's kind of what I do here.
And so when you give them this kind of pep talk, they buy it and they go, you know what, we can do it. Yeah,
well,
we're going for it.
I think they always believe they can do it. Like when I talked to them, they weren't saying, we don't think we can do it. They were just like tired, So you come in and you say, and Ty can't be here all the time because he's off doing his thing. Paul and Paige and Michael and all those guys are off doing their things, and so they're left here to build the house. When you have Ty coming through here with the bullhorn and stuff, that really pumps people up, and that's what kept us going, my guys, when Ty would come through and do that. when I come in and they're tired, then I just have to reassure them.
And so, what are some of the challenges as far as meeting the disability needs, the special needs of Kristina?
I would obviously assume that there are shower situations where it makes it easier for her to get in. There's grab bar situations. They probably are wiring for automated things, which are voice activated things. We've done that a lot on the show in the past. Door access, wide doors, all that kind of stuff. But I think the thing that's over the top generally is the low voltage technology that they put in to, where you say, okay, open door and the door opens, that kind of stuff, so she doesn't have to do all that stuff.
So what do you think that everyday people can learn from this process? When they watch the show, when they're here, I mean, what?
Well, I think, okay, you can take the logical things that have to happen to accelerate a build, and then there is, and this is going to sound really weird, but there's some level of something else going on. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is.
Multitasking.
No, I mean there's like something that happens. And it may be because there's cameras, it may be because it's a show, it may be, I think it's because you're working for a cause that causes you to kind of catapult your energy into a different plane. So like when I did these shows, I came back from these shows and I said, okay, I met with all the people that worked on the show and I said, okay, so let me understand this. It takes us 6 months to do this in real life. What the heck? Why can't we do this? Why can't we do this?
Yeah.
For real?
Right.
And so we said, okay, well, here's why. And we started to lay it out. And so, with 1 week bath, obviously, not some gratuitous plug, but there are certain things that you can do and create and take a remodel from 8 weeks to a week. Okay, those are the organizational things and the planning things and the training things and the efficiency things. But to take a house, to take a whole house to the ground and build it in 5 days, 9 hours, which is what they actually build the house in, it's an exercise in resources, project management, planning, and
volunteerism,
volunteerism, yeah. And then you throw into that whole mix the adrenaline of being on TV, the adrenaline of working for a cause, and that's what makes it happen. It's still amazing. It's amazing right now. It's a
huge rush.
I mean, this house behind me is only 2 days old.
And it's going to be done like in three more days?
It's going to be done next week, yeah. So, I mean, it's 2 days old. Okay, so, you're a couple hours behind here or there, whatever.
And they're not cutting corners as far as safety, quality standards.
Number one, there's a building inspector on site full time. I just talked to him. Number two, a lot of safety stuff going on. Number three, you're not using unskilled labor. I mean, you're not looking for just guys or gals on the street that just throw these bags on and go nail this thing. You have. That's the challenge too. Is you have to find skilled labor that are willing to work 36, 40 hours, 50 hours, whatever it takes.
And what these people get in return, besides the good feeling in their heart, is some exposure and knowing that they were part of something really outstanding.
Yeah, I think it's more knowing. I think more than anything, it's knowing that they're part of something outstanding. Because exposure, I mean, most of these guys are not going to make it on TV. I mean, the reality is, they don't make it on TV. Some of the vendors will use it as a marketing tool, but really, I think that the bulk of the people do it because they're part of something that's not only amazing from just a construction perspective, but just
a spiritual level.
Yeah, from the giving side of it.
Right.
Yeah, so, that's what I think drives most of them.